Welcome to another episode of Talking College Football with JJ Kitchen. Of course, I'm your host, JJ Kitchen. Guys, before we get into it today, we'll get a number of people in here. I know the questions are already coming in. It's been a hell of a 2 weeks, really 2 or 3 weeks when you think about it, in terms of what Pitt football has looked like, what it was, where we are now. It's been absolutely nuts. We've added players through the portal. We've moved on from coaches. I mean, just numerous different aspects of the program that has changed. We'll continue to see what that looks like. But on tap for today, plenty of notes in today. One of the biggest ones, obviously, today we saw Eli Holstein commits to Pitt, the transfer quarterback from Alabama, decides to go from Alabama, University of Pittsburgh, a quick transaction, something that's been in the works for a while, it seems like. He talked about his visit, what that meant, the Pitt coaches, why Cade Bell was the guy that he wanted to go with, the offense that he runs, up-tempo, speed. That's incredible. The story behind Eli Holstein, we're going to go into the connection to the University of Pittsburgh, and that's when we talk about guys, former Pitt alums, and we're lucky. Pitt has some really good alums throughout history, but we're going to talk today about why Mike McGlynn, the former Pitt offensive tackle, 8-time NFL veteran, helped secure this commitment from Eli Holstein, and why he has been such a big aspect, but more importantly, thankful for a guy like that and just numerous Pitt alum that really just continue to help the program when they're out of it. Also, too, not just Eli Holstein, but Ohio linebacker Key Thompson, San Diego State University wide receiver, also of Western Carolina, Raphael Williams, and then finally, Oregon State tight end Jake Overman, also committed to the program. We're going to talk about them, the highlights of what they're able to do in this Pitt offense, what we're going to see going forward, what type of commitment can we see from certain players. But also, too, obviously the coaching staff, Tim Salem, Dave Borbley, and Andre Powell, 3 veteran coaches, 2 of them here since the beginning of the Pat Narduzzi era. Obviously, Tim Salem and Andre Powell here for 9 years. Dave Borbley came on a couple of years afterwards here for 7 years. Beyond thankful for everything that they've done. But we are in search of new coaches. I'm going to give you a couple names that I've heard in terms of, one, the offensive line coach. That position may be already filled. We're not going to be able to give you guys that name tonight, but I'll be able to give you a couple names to look for in the tight end room, as it's going to be a tight end special teams coordinator position, what that's going to look like. But also, too, what do we see in terms of positions that Pitt is going to continue to grab? What I can tell you is this: Pitt's not done in the portal. There's at least 2 positions that they're still looking at. From this past weekend, obviously, they had a bunch of guys on campus, especially multiple offensive linemen. Between offensive linemen from Jacksonville State University, he just committed to West Virginia actually earlier today. But also, too, Troy offensive lineman went to Texas A&M, and Weatherspoon from Howard decides to keep his commitment to the University of Syracuse. Guys, we're going to get into all of that. But before we get started, you got to just keep it on brand, no matter what it is. If I can get it on here now. Start that countdown. Again, guys, welcome to another episode of Talking College Football with JJ Kitchen. Of course, I'm your host, JJ Kitchen. And guys, it's another Sunday conversation. This is going to be a weekly thing. We talked about this. One, I love answering your guys' questions, but also, two, just really wrapping up the week and things that happened with Pitt football. Before we get into it, though, of course, the sponsor of this show, Colonial Beer, located at 4986 Library Road in Bethel Park, PA, 15102. Guys, Colonial Beer, run by 2 incredible Pitt men, 2 people that I know well. Beyond thankful for the opportunity as they continue to sponsor the show. But more importantly, how they support not just Talking College Football with JJ Kitchen, but how they support Alliance 412, which is a preferred collective of the University of Pittsburgh. Guys, they have plenty of selections there, where it's IPAs, if you want a light beer, a thicker beer, anything that you want. There's numerous selections. You guys have seen the posts I put on Twitter, the major variety. Anytime I have anybody over, any type of gathering or anything I'm going to, I go to Colonial Beer because of the selection that's there. I can get anything I want there. Don't have to go anywhere else. On top of the quality of customer service they have there, along with two pitmen in control of the organization, but also two, where you can get the fake slide Pilsner, which helps support the athletes at the University of Pittsburgh and helps support Alliance 412, which is a preferred collective of the University of Pittsburgh. Again, guys, Colonial Beer, located at 4986 Library Road in Bethel Park, PA 15102. Go see them today. Go support Colonial Beer and what they have. But two, you're also supporting Alliance 412. And if you're not a subscriber yet to Alliance 412, subscribe to them today. Big importance. And of course, Alliance 412, which is the preferred collective of the University of Pittsburgh. Guys, it's been a hell of a week. Again, I hope you all enjoyed your holiday. It's crazy. I was in South Carolina for really almost 2 weeks, visiting my younger brother and his wife before he heads off to pro ball out in Scottsdale, Arizona. And boy, did we have a bunch of stuff happen. The first thing I really want to get to today is the news of the day. And it's kind of been in the works for a while. And that's Eli Holstein, the former quarterback of Alabama, true freshman, hits the portal, and really essentially, and really happens all in a 2-day, 3-day span, commits to the University of Pittsburgh. Guys, it was pretty cool how this really all came together. And, you know, I heard about this for a little bit. There was a lot of connection around this about how this came to be, and people in my DMs asking me, you know, what's the connection here? The guy's from Louisiana. You know, how the heck does a guy that has offers from every school in the country, every elite school, committed to Texas A&M at one point, decommits, goes to Alabama, at Alabama for a year, is on their scout team. I can tell you for a fact, Alabama tried to get Eli to stay. Eli really made his name and really started to gain a lot of respect as a true freshman on the scout team, was a 7-time scout team player of the week, but just because of the looks he was able to provide, went against really I guess technically the second best defense in the country every single week. His development continued to climb. That's why Alabama was fighting hard to keep him, you know, at the University of Alabama. Obviously LSU, Auburn, teams of that nature came in, tried to find a way to just get him the connection to try to get him to stay in the SEC. But a certain connection really put this over the top. And that goes back to former Pitt offensive tackle, former NFL offensive lineman, an 8-year veteran, tremendous football player at the University of Pittsburgh, but also in the National Football League, Mike McGlynn. You know, you talk about a guy, and again, I said it in the pre-setup of the show, just going over topics. I can't thank that guy enough and what he's done to really set this up. I talked to Mike for a little bit, and again, you know, lucky enough to be able to talk to people of his stature. The amount of work that he puts in, the connection that he's had here, has been phenomenal. And it was cool. One of the things that he mentioned about Eli was that he has the mental toughness of a guy like Tyler Palko. I thought that, you know, that's extremely high praise. You know, has the mental toughness of a Tyler Palko, but more explosive and more athletic. Anybody that I've talked to from GAs down at Alabama, the one thing that's really come to mind when they talk about an Eli Holstein really just goes into the same thing that Mike says. Just mentally tough, a hell of an athlete, very athletic, big, a very live arm. The guy is a physical specimen. But when it comes to Mike McGlynn, beyond thankful for how he set this up. And it's guys like Mike, and there's numerous of them that are Pitt football alums that put Pitt football in the limelight and really talk about the program as it is. And it's in a great context. It's in a great light. It really goes to show, and I try to tell people this, and then people call me a homer or anything else like this. It's just calling a spade, that we really do have some of the best people in the industry at the University of Pittsburgh. It's the truth. You know, we have some really good people that work at Pitt right now, but the alums that we've had at the University of Pittsburgh are second to none. And what Mike was able to do to create this connection, really bring him to Cade Bell, where, Cade Bell, Eli loves the offense and what really has to come for what Cade Bell's going to bring, an up-tempo, pro-style spread. If you look at what Cade's done at Western Carolina, Valdosta State. Valdosta, he won a national title there, which is Division II, but also took Western Carolina. And if you don't know where Western Carolina is at, it's kind of like State College, but on steroids. I mean, you're really in the middle of nowhere. I think if you have to look it up, you'll go and find and see the campus. There's really nothing else around. I mean, the recruiting is extremely hard. Cade Bell has a great relationship in Florida with a bunch of people in Florida and throughout the South. But the one thing he talked about is how the offense, when he runs it, it's a lot like when you look at his offense, it's a lot like when it's the NFL pro style run game that you'll see, for instance, back in the day with the Indianapolis Colts, people like that. But it has the spread offensive concepts from a Steve Spurrier. And he gets that stuff from his dad, but he also blends it in with a lot of stuff today, which creates that pro style spread. They're going to be able to go up tempo whenever they want, put the defense on their heels, but also, too, control the clock and control the game when they need to be able to slow it down and be able to get physical and really run the ball down your throat. It's one of the things that Eli looked at, one of the things he liked. He talked about development, but he also said, when you look at head coaches around the country, Pat Narduzzi was one of the only coaches that they felt like, especially too, whether it was Eli or his dad or any of his parents, both of his parents or his sister, talked about how they can sit down and really just feel like they can have a conversation with Pat Narduzzi about anything. That he's so personable, that the facilities were great when they went and visited. The facilities were great. The coaching staff was great. I think that says a lot about the Pitt culture and the Pitt people. And Kenny Johnson was actually the host for Eli Holstein. And he talked about how Eli, when he asked the questions to Kenny Johnson really showed that, man, they really love the coaches that are there. They love the guys that are in that building. It's a very tight-knit group, whether it's the position coaches, the coordinators, the support staff, Pitt life skills. I think people don't realize what really goes into Pitt life skills. When Penny was here, obviously it was through the roof. They've been lucky enough to keep it at where it was. Obviously, we miss a guy like Penny. There is no second Penny. Okay, if you don't know who that is, look him up. Incredible man. He's actually with the Buffalo Bills now. But to say the least, it's the support staff. It's everybody in the building. It's everything. And that's really what sets Pitt apart. And what really made this just right away, when he went and stepped on campus, he knew immediately that he wanted to go to the University of Pittsburgh. And guys, when you watch the film, and I've gotten to see the people I saw were throwing around the Elite 11 stuff, I think it's a little dated. I think when you go back, and maybe I'll be able to post, if it's okay, I'll check with my sources. I was able to watch the practice tape at the University of Alabama. And let me tell you, this kid's good. As a true freshman, people were asking me, man, why is he a guy that's fourth string? Why is he at the bottom of the depth chart? Why? Because it's the University of Alabama. They've won 7 national titles with Nick Saban since 2009. When you look at their quarterback room, go look at the guys that are in that room. They're all talented. And on top of that, he's a true freshman. This is a guy that's going to come in and nothing's given. People were asking me that as well. Is this a position that's given? Is it automatically given to the guy? I think we can be really fair and say that, Keaton Slovis, when he came in, was a guaranteed starter. When Phil Dracovic came in, he was a guaranteed starter. Guys, this is a full-blown quarterback competition between Nate Yarnell, Christian Veyer, Eli Holstein, but also Ty Diffenbach. I think a lot of people forget about him. He's a very big, athletic guy. Played wide receiver for a long time in high school before he went to a quarterback. When he came to the University of Pittsburgh, obviously Frank Cignetti was here, but, Jonathan DiBiaso, who was here, recruited him. Talked about how he's a tremendous guy when it comes to his athletic ability and things you can work with. Again, a live arm. You're looking at different guys throughout this entire quarterback room where you're saying, man, this is a hell of a room. You have Nate Yarnell, who really finished the year strong, a guy that was, really put to the third string. Didn't get a lot of looks because Frank Cignetti was really so involved with Phil Dracovic. And really, in my opinion, if it wasn't for Pat Narduzzi stepping in, I think Phil Dracovic would have finished out the rest of the year because Frank Cignetti wouldn't have made any changes, which I think was beyond stupid on his end, which is why he's no longer here and just how badly that room was put together and developed. But Phil Jurkovec moves on. Nate Yarnell is going to be able to compete. Christian Veyer, he needs to clean up. He's a guy that's got all the intangibles. I think the size, his athletic ability, the strong arm, a guy you can see the field, but he's got to take down the turnovers. That's the one thing that's really just his Achilles heel at this point. Got to cut down the turnovers, be able to read the defense consistently, not just sometimes. We'll see that type of development continue. Ty Diffenbach, a guy who continues to get better and better as the weeks go on. He's back on campus. Of course, the guys are back on campus. They'll continue to start really learning the Cade Bell system. We'll continue to see what that looks like. And then obviously, too, Julian Dugger, the fifth quarterback in this roster that'll join Pitt. And I think when you look at Julian Dugger, he's going to be a guy that he needs coaching to the point where he's able to really step up. He's a guy with another live arm, very athletic, built. Just a frame of him is incredible. I think just he needs college coaching, and we'll continue to see the coaching and the development go on. And I think it's really a good position to where he's at, where as a true freshman, you get to come in and you get to learn and develop. One, hit the Pitt Ironworks. You're going to see some of these transfers that we talk about today go through the Pitt Ironworks and why that's so important for these guys to go through everything that they do and why the Pitt Ironworks is so important and how they continue to be developed. But overall, when you look at the quarterback room, I like where it's at right now. You have a lot of competition. Competition brings out the best in everybody. You have to be able to have competition or you're really going to be strained for talent. And I think this team has talent. It's still got a couple holes left. You'd like to see a little bit more depth. But what this coaching staff was able to do with the quarterback room, the defensive line, the DBs, linebacker, you just look at it from a perspective, even the special teams. I like what they've done. It's going to continue to get better. We'll continue to see what it looks like during the spring and the fall. Again, we won't get ahead of our skis too much. We'll see what it looks like as the continued development goes on, but it needs to happen. But when you look at this team overall, they added some legitimate talent, 4-star talent, guys that have the talent to be in the Power 5. And on top of that, going through development and tape and looking at different players through the FCS level, the Group of 5 level, I like what they did. And they're still not done yet, and we'll get into that. But before we get into that, guys, I'm going to go through some of the comments here. I know you guys were hitting up comments. I just want to get some of that stuff out before we really started going through it. Let's see here. Any idea on Pat, who's looking for the next running back coach, tight ends coach, offensive line coach? WRW Pitt, we'll get to that here in a second. Look here, my man. Let's effing go. Can't wait for the spring. Hail to Pitt. Russ, can't wait, brother. We got to meet up for the spring game. Can't wait to see you, man. I'll tell you what, it's going to be a hell of a time. It's good to see Pitt football back to where it is. Continually great additions. I think the hype has built back up after a really bad year because of the changes that are made. But also, too, Pat Narduzzi adapting. I think it's where we are at this point. But obviously, Russell Bayer, guys, obviously you'll know him, Ryan Bayer's dad. Again, if you see him, one of the nicest people in the world, just walk up to him, give him a high five, give him a hug. He's one of the best. True Pitt man. That's why I'm so happy he's here and his entire family from top to bottom. Love them. Adam, do you think there will be any more portal additions? I'm thinking D-tackle and maybe cornerback. Hail to Pitt. Let's go Steelers. Yeah, so there's going to be more portal additions. We'll get to that here in a second. John Gorman, any other coaching changes that you could possibly see? I can answer this one right now, John. I don't. I think the defensive staff stays the same. The only thing that could potentially happen, just because we haven't heard about it yet, is if someone tries to grab a couple guys. We'll see what that looks like. Obviously, it would be from the defensive side of the football. I don't think that's going to happen. I think right now the staff's going to stay the same. But I don't think we should have anything different go through. I think the coaching staff from anybody else leaving should probably stay the same at this point. But you never know with someone trying to pluck one of the guys from the defensive staff. But I think it stays together at this point. Rumor is maybe North Dakota State OC could be a candidate for a spot. I'll have to... North Dakota State OC. North Dakota State OC, if I'm not mistaken, I'll have to look. I think he's actually going to Northwestern to be their offensive coordinator. I think I tweeted that. I'm pretty sure it's the same guy. I have to check that out. Intrigued by Holstein, great physical measurements, young with lots of talent and eligibility and upside. My main concern is long wind up and slow release, but I'll take it. Should be competitive room. Yeah, it's going to be competitive room. And anybody that I've talked to, I saw the Bud Elliott tweet, and I respect Bud and everything that he's done But anybody that I've talked to is that he's a guy that, you look at Alabama, he did really well there on a scout team, what he's able to face consistently. They said they love his development. They try to get him to stay in their quarterback room. Ty Simpson ended up staying too. I think that probably had a little bit of development towards it. But I think at this point, lots of upside to this kid. We'll continue to see what it looks like in the spring and going through the fall. But like you said, we'll continue to see what that looks like. But everything I've heard is that the kid's really good. Let's see here. Adam, I'm right with you all. A lot of upside. Hail to Pitt from Michael Jones. According to 247, Pitt, number 38 portal after Eli, number 10 ACC recruiting. Results worse over previous 2 years to this. Thoughts? According to 247 after Eli, I'll have to look at that. Someone mentioned that to me today. The one thing I did look at is that they're also counting guys that left. I don't understand how that works. I was confused by that because the guys that left weren't on the 2D. They weren't guys that were playing, so they had to create more room. You're going to see more guys enter the portal. People were asking me about that. More guys are going to enter the portal because we need to create more space in terms of scholarship. For the spring, we're going to be fine. There'll be a lot of early enrollees. I think in terms of scholarship numbers, after we add probably 2 or 3 more guys, I think we're going to be 84 scholarships for the spring. If you think in terms of spring practice, if you're a coach, obviously for Pitt, you're beyond ecstatic because the spring game's going to be great. You'll be able to have enough guys on both sides, whatever you want to do. But also, too, when you come to practice and development, spring practice is going to be great. Usually you're in like the 50 range or like maybe not 50, maybe like 60s. You're probably like 60 to 65 scholarship players in that range. But when you have 84 guys on the roster there, all scholarship, that's huge. But as I sit here right now, I probably think that you're probably going to see between 5 to 8 more guys enter the portal after spring. Guys that won't be on the 2D. Because you got to create room for these other guys to come on board. But Byron, to answer your question, I look at it. I mean, the recruiting numbers are always going to be what they are. I think some of them, I understand where they're coming from in terms of, top 10 classes, things of that nature. But Pitt won an ACC title with not being in the top 10, top 15, top 20. You'd like to see it continue to climb. But when you look at the portal, I mean, they're counting guys that left too. I don't know how that works. Like I looked at Syracuse. I looked at their portal additions. I mean, you look at the tape. I mean, they're pretty much trying to count the Ohio State quarterback as a huge portal addition. I mean, in a way he is, but with that amount of talent at Ohio State, he wasn't really good. I mean, you look at the room overall was really carrying him. So that was one of the things I was really worried about. But also, too, it's a lot of hype around Syracuse at this point. Same thing with Colorado. Colorado had a great transfer portal class last year. They went 4-8. It is what it is. I mean, and they're a top 2 again. They'll probably win 4 or 5 games again this year. We'll continue to see what they do. And I'm a big Deion Sanders guy, but there's a lot of guys that just aren't fulfilling that. So again, I think to your point, Byron, I'm not really concerned because when I look at the guys they've added and the guys, how much eligibility they have left too, they were smart with their money. They spent a lot of money. And again, if you have not subscribed to Alliance 412, please consider it. A lot of these, if not all of these additions, are because of Alliance 412 and the relationships at Pitt. The Pitt relationships are so strong. The alums that we have, I talked about Mike McGlynn. Again, just the guy's incredible. Numerous other alum that have really helped out with Pitt too. But Alliance 412, we got over the $1 million mark. That's great. But we need more subscribers. We need more subscribers to the basic plan of $20 a month in 1976, which is the last time. Also, too, I wanted to bring this up. The last time we won a national title. Also, too, if you remember, in 1975, Pitt was, 2-10? The next year, they won a national title. Now, don't get on me. I'm not saying we're going to win the national title next year, all right, guys? So just relax. We were 3-9 last year. It's a whole different ball game here. But I like what they've added, and I've looked at the tape. But also, too, I've reached out to coaches who have a much better eye than I do, much more experience than I do. And it's not just Pitt, but it's also whether it's at Vandy, whether it's at Alabama, whether it's at Georgia, whether it's at Boston College, whether it's Kentucky, whether it's Syracuse. I've reached out to coaches that I know personally that I asked the question, what do you think of this kid? When you look at the tape, here's what I see. What do you see? And I've developed those great relationships with these coaches, which I'm very privileged to do that. Again, it's a very big trust factor of why I'm able to ask these questions or ask who's interviewing, asking who's involved in searches. That's how I find this stuff out. But when certain coaches reach out to me and they said, man, you got a hell of a guy, you got a hell of a player, or high school coaches, I'm very much in tune with a lot of high school coaches in Florida. The amount of high school coaches that have reached out to me in Florida that have talked about the Cade Bell hire is absolutely just mind-blowing. Like, to say how much they liked him and for us to take him from Florida. Really, the University of Florida was very much considering him. And Florida fans were upset that Cade Bell came here and not to Florida. There's a lot of smoke behind that. And at this point, there's probably fire, to be quite honest with you. So, to Byron, to your point, I understand the numbers, but I like what we've added. And I think it's a very good class. Is it great? We'll see here pretty soon in terms of what the development looks like. Reaction podcast. Good shit, Kitch. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much. Again, guys, if you have not done so yet, helps me out a ton. Hit the like button below, but also to subscribe to the channel. Anytime we drop videos, anytime we do a Sunday conversation, if you miss it on Twitter or on Facebook when we post it, it'll give you an automatic update. So please like the channel, subscribe to the channel. We'll be able to give you guys everything. In terms of going into some of these questions, let's see here. Let's go into this one first. With the new addition to the QB room, will there be a fair competition for the starting quarterback job this year? The answer is yes. And this is going to be different than the last 2 years. The last 2 years, you saw Keaton Slovis come in. Pretty much, he was guaranteed the starting job position. I think there should have been more of a dialogue and discussion probably with Nick Patty, what he was able to do. Obviously, just injuries have just crushed him, I think, to this point, and really put it to where it is. But I think the biggest thing is, the biggest thing is when you look at this group overall, there's definitely going to be a quarterback competition. And I know that because I've been told from numerous people that have been involved in this that said it's going to be a quarterback competition from start to finish between the spring and the fall. It's going to be between, again, the guys, Nate Yarnell, Christian Veyer, Eli Holstein, and Ty Diffenbach. Those are your four guys that are really, and you're really three guys, I guess, that are experienced. Two guys that are experienced, two other guys that are younger, limited experience, if none experience, and then you still have Julian Dugger coming in as a true freshman who will be able to learn this year, especially in the Cade Bell offense. And I think he fits the Cade Bell offense really well. But this is definitely going to be a quarterback competition. There's no second guessing that. That's 100% a fact. This will be a fair competition. Cade Bell is going to go with the guy that is able to run his offense the best. And when you look at this quarterback room from the get-go, there's a lot of guys really. I think all of them have aspects of their game that really fit Cade Bell. Speed, agility, being able to read defenses, making quick decisions. You're going to see that pro-style spread where we have a tough running game, shove it down your throat, but then at the same time, though, be able to spread you out. And a guy that actually worked and played at Western Carolina, he said, JJ, go back and look at the 2019 LSU team. Go back and watch the film and then put it on a side-by-side screen where I'm able to have multiple screens, so where I have multiple monitors where I'm looking at both side by side and you're watching comparisons, you're watching plays, you're watching matchups. It's a lot alike. Just telling you, it's a lot alike. You're going to see a lot of the guys, especially too when they spread them out. They can do bunch sets, trip sets. You're going to see 10 personnel, which is one running back empty set, one running back and four wide receivers. You're going to see a lot of 11 personnel. One running back, one tight end, three wide receivers. I think you guys are going to be shocked to see how there's going to be a lot of times maybe one tight end on the field. That's it. And maybe we go 10 personnel where we drop the running back and we do tight end and four wide receivers. A lot of options. And then you're going to see wide sets to where we go out really side to side, sideline to sideline, be able to spread it out, create those matchups, but also to work in that system to where we're able to have a power run game with the ability to be able to pull the ball and be able to distribute the football through the air. I think you guys are going to truly like it a lot when you go through it. And maybe I'll do a show on it, maybe like share my screen to where I can really point out and do it almost like an offensive description of really both and just get like almost like a quarterback room coach and almost like going through and showing you guys the differences and the similarities of what it looks like. But I thought that was interesting from a player that played for Cade Bell, the quarterback position, by the way, and talked about how the days of, and we were joking back and forth when we were talking about it, joking about how he's like, look, the days of what Frank Signetti was running, you'll never have to worry about that with Cade Bell. It will not look anything like that. You're finally going to have a modern day offense with speed, just where we are truly on offense. When you think about the offensive set, we're being offensive, we're going after it. But the last 2 years, you've seen a lot of defensive, offensive play calling, very conservative. We're not going to be conservative anymore. We're going to be running the football. We're going to be passing the football with an efficiency where we're having more plays than we've ever run, probably in the program. So I'm excited about it. And the quarterback room is going to be one of the biggest parts, if not the biggest. If we can get average to above average quarterback play with the schedule that we have here, just above average, there's no reason why the floor shouldn't be set any lower than 8 wins, minimum. Because we'll go over some of the other positions here, especially too with other positions on the field. But the upgrades that we are seeing and some of the younger guys, some of these freshmen, especially D linemen, are going to play because they're that good. Jasir Whittington, Francis Breu, look out for those guys. And I'm telling you, they're that good. That's why Michigan State made the last push until the final hour to get Breu to flip from Pitt to Michigan State. There's a reason why that happened. And through numerous conversations with him, the relationships, but also being coached by Charlie Partridge and Alliance 412 was a major factor. Is what it is. So I'm excited about what this team is moving forward, but the quarterback room is number one and what it could potentially look like. Let's see here. Do you think any more portal ads? I'm thinking D tackle and maybe corner. So, Adam, to answer this question, here's what I can tell you. They are, for a fact, still going after the cornerbacks because, one, they've added one already. If I'm not mistaken, let me see here. Taman Lynam. Nebraska cornerback Taman Lynam, who was added through the portal. Obviously, they're looking at a guy right now. You've probably seen his name go through certain aspects of it. Temple cornerback. They're working with him right now. There's a potential possibility that they add him. You saw this past weekend where they had offensive lineman and Witherspoon. They had the kid from Jacksonville State. Obviously, they had one from, obviously, Troy as well, Howard from Troy. Unfortunately, all three of those guys have now committed to other places. Witherspoon, when he came in, he was already committed to Syracuse. He visited Syracuse, came to Pitt, and then went back to Syracuse again. Fran Brown really pushed that and was able to close it. So what I can tell you is that they're going to add one more offensive lineman. They're going to add one more cornerback. Those are really the two for a fact. And then maybe, if the number is right in terms of what they're looking for, maybe one more defensive tackle. But I just think that the class they brought in through, you look at the guys that are on the roster now. I mean, you got Nick James that just brought in a 4-star defensive tackle from Indiana, who was at IMG previously. He's going to be getting a lot of playing time this year. You've also got Sean Fitzsimmons. Nakai Johnson, from what it seems like, he'll be moving from outside to inside. So you have him in there as well. You still have Elliot Donald in that room. You're going to have, how many other freshmen? Isaiah Ghost Neal. Ghost is going to be able to step up this year. Francis Breu, Jasir Whittington. There's numerous guys in that room right now, maybe not experienced, but there are numerous guys in that room that have the potential to step up this year. And help me out if I'm missing somebody within the defensive tackle room. But when you look at the room overall, there's a lot of talent there. And there's only so much room because you have to find, once you add another guy, you got to add another guy off the team. So that's another thing that has to go through there. But for a fact, offensive lineman, one more offensive lineman, one more cornerback. That's really where we are at this point, and maybe a defensive tackle. That's kind of what our eyes are set on at this point, potentially where they go from there. Those are multiple positions that we're looking at. After that, I think that's it. Me personally, I think it's kind of at this point, I think for where they are, I think it's cornerback and offensive lineman, and then that's it. And then they'll go into spring practice, decide, okay, hey, where are we with the defensive tackle room? Where are we inside? what do we look like? Do we really need somebody else? What does the room look like overall? Do we need to add somebody else? Are we going to push somebody to leave? What's that overall look like? So I think really right now, I would think it's going to be cornerback and offensive line from what I've been told, and that's it. Let's see here. There was one thing about the coaching. Oh, yeah. I just had that. Ryan Hagen, we need subscribers. One-time donations are nice. Consistently monthly subscribers will continue to build our NIL. Ryan, could not agree more. Again, another great Pitt fan right here. He's completely right. We need to add more subscribers to Alliance 412. And again, I'm willing to get on here and do a show on it. We've just been so busy. Something's popped up every single time. But I'm working on getting Alliance 412 on here as well to answer questions. But I can tell you, it's so important. It is so important to get more and more people to subscribe to it. I mean, hell, West Virginia is already over 1,600 subscribers. Last time I checked, we were just over 500. We're a better university. We have a better fan base. There's no reason why we are not kicking their ass right now. Just my opinion. Let me see here. Will Pitt have a man or zone blocking scheme? We'll get to that here in a second. Maybe a little bit of both. I'll tell you here in more in a second. Bring Bynum home. And that kind of brings me to my next, really, my coaching topics here. When we look at coaches, guys, I've been told from numerous people, and I should say numerous, I would probably say like 3 or 4 people, it looks like the offensive line coaching position is full. It looks like they've actually hired a guy. I have not gotten that name yet. We're still waiting on that, obviously, too. I can't even release that yet anyways. But they look like they've really who they've honed in on. I know there's 3 or 4 names who I've heard that have interviewed already. Obviously, all the coaches are actually in Nashville right now for the AFCA Coaches Conference. That's where they are right now. They're there till Tuesday. But here are 2 coaches that I know for a fact that I can give to you that are 2 names to watch for the tight end special teams coordinator position. It's going to be a tight end special teams coordinator. So previously, Andre Powell, who was the running back coach, was the running back coach and was a tight end coach. I mean, running back coach and a special teams coordinator. As of tonight, I've been told that it's going to be a tight end coach, and special teams coach together. They're kind of moving it over from the running back position. And there's actually a couple running back coaches that I know that they're looking at that are really damn good. And there's a lot of connections to Narduzzi, and it's almost like they're waiting for a phone call at this point. The first name that was brought up that I know got a phone call and met in person was Bowling Green tight ends coach Alex Bayer. He's a guy that's been there for a little while. A good coach, really good coach in terms of development, what he's able to do, recruiting, especially in the Ohio area, things of that nature. I know he got a call. They've reached out to him in terms of what that could look like, bringing him in. Obviously, he's a good candidate to watch. Another name to watch, and this is a massive one. If they are able to land this coach, this would be an absolute home run of a hire. First off, home run of a hire, but I want to tell you right now, if they hire this guy, that means they paid him. Because at this point right now, he's making $700,000 a year as the associate head coach, tight end coach, and special teams coordinator at Vanderbilt. And that's Justin Lustig. Justin Lustig is a guy who has been notoriously known as a coach who's able to develop tight ends, a hell of a recruiter. He's a guy that when you look at him overall, he's a tremendous football coach, a guy that is well-respected across the board. I think that the biggest thing is obviously he's got a good relationships down in Nashville and Vanderbilt right now. Clark Leah, who's the head coach for Vanderbilt right now, they got a good close connection. Obviously, he's the associate head coach there. He's making a good dime there right now. But I know for a fact that he is one of the guys that he's a name to watch. He's a name to watch. I'm just telling you. If that hire was made, I would be extremely happy. I mean, that guy would be a home run hire. Another name, Nate Bynum, who is right now the tight end coach of Stanford. He won, obviously, for people that don't know or people that do know, he is a former Pitt tight end, tremendous tight end when he was here. He is a guy that has really risen through the ranks, and he's a rising star. I love his recruiting and what he's able to do recruiting-wise and his development. He's coached between Albany. I think he had one stop previously before that, Albany, and now he's at Stanford. He's coached at Albany tight ends, offensive line. He's been an assistant head coach at Albany under Greg Gattuso. If you don't know who Greg Gattuso is, a legendary Pittsburgh name. He's done a phenomenal job in what he's done up at Albany. Greg Gattuso at one point under Dave Wanstead was a defensive line coach, tremendous development coach, a guy who can recruit, done a great job recruiting the Whitfield. Just a really good guy, really good family where they come from. Obviously, here in the Pittsburgh area, Caitlin Gattuso obviously played basketball at Seton LaSalle. I went to Mount Lebanon, all in the same area in the South Hills here, but a lot of connections to that. So there's three names right now that really I've been brought to attention. Bowling Green, tight end coach, Alex Bayer. Vanderbilt, tight end and special teams coach and associate head coach, Justin Lustig. And then also, Stanford tight end coach, Nate Bynum. Those are really the three names that I've heard up to this point, especially, right now. They're down in Nashville right now. They're meeting. All the coaches are down there. For me personally, it's one of the things that I would love to do at some point, just to go down there and meet a lot of the coaches that I've had a privilege of meeting through contacts. Believe it or not, I'm not a coach, obviously, in college. I've been asked to join coaching staffs in high school here in high school football here in Pittsburgh. I think maybe when my career continues to progress, I'm just so busy right now between this channel, my personal career, where that's 95% of my time. Just when I get to a certain point, I may join the ranks of high school coaches here in Pittsburgh. There's a bunch of different positions open up in between 5A to 6A and 4A. I've had some opportunities there. I'm just not ready to take those positions yet. But I think at some point I will go to the AFCA conferences to meet some of these guys. As I've been invited, it would be a privilege to go down there and meet these coaches that have just helped me phenomenal. The amount of time they've invested into myself, beyond appreciative of it. So we'll see what that continues to look like. But those are just some of the names that I've looked at, I've heard about. And when they're down at these conferences, that's all you're doing is just networking. You're looking at different guys for certain jobs, what they're doing. But those are the three names that I've heard for the tight end and special teams position. Again, I was told that the offensive line coach position is really pretty much finished up. It's done. Again, I wouldn't release that anyway, just because one is too early as it is. But there were good. I do know the coaches that some of them interviewed. There's some good coaches. I can tell you that. Overall, though, into another topic here. One thing I want to do. Obviously, Pitt moves on from Tim Salem, Dave Borbley, and Andre Powell. Guys, the calendar for coaches at this point is brutal. Brutal is, and that's putting it lightly. It's unfair. The calendar of what it's at, especially too for recruiting. These coaches work 7 days a week. They get 1 week out of the year for vacation, and that's it. I'm beyond thankful, and I reached out to a couple of the coaches. I was able to DM. Wasn't able to reach one of them, but thank them for their time here. Tim Salem, a guy who's been here for 9 years. Andre Powell, a guy who's been here for 9 years. Dave Borbley, a guy who's been here for 7 years. They were loyal to Pitt and to Pat Narduzzi. And unfortunately, in the world of college athletics, you would have liked to see some of these guys get let go earlier so they could have more time to find a job. But the way the calendar is, it's extremely difficult to let coaches go before the holidays, before an early signing period. If it was just February, you probably don't see none of this stuff until maybe early on. But I felt horrible for these coaches because, one, they're great individuals. Yes. Was there a need to make a change at all three of these positions? Yes. But you feel bad about the calendar, about when they're let go, because you want to see these guys be successful other places. I follow each one of these guys. I'll be able to see where they go. No doubt in my mind, they're going to land on their feet because they're great coaches. They're great coaches, and no matter what, they have a ton of experience, and they deserve to have another job because I think they're good. But I just think sometimes new life is what you need to have in the program. When you're here 9 years and maybe sometimes it gets a little stale. You looked at Andre Powell, the running back rotation this year. I thought it was bad. The special teams this year, I thought it was bad again. You look at tight end, Tim Salem, I think that the tight end recruiting obviously was just horrific. Gavin Bartholomew being the exception. But overall, when you look at the tight end position, it was really bad. But here's on the flip side of it. Tim Salem was a hell of a recruiter. Go look at the names that Tim Salem was able to recruit. The Kenny Pickett's, the Izzy Abanicanas, the Matt Gonsalves. You had numerous different players, not just three off the top of my head right there. But then on top of that, not just like I added right there, he's a guy that was able to recruit other rooms and help other coaches recruit their room. He was able to do that. I just think in this area, it was time for a change. And sometimes 9 years is just good enough. I think 9 years, and then you need some new blood. You need something else in there. And I think that maybe if Pitt goes 5-7, I think Tim Salem's still here. I really do. I really do believe Tim Salem's still here if we go 5-7. But when you go 3-9, there's people from the top that get after the coach a little bit to say, hey, you know what? We need a change. We need a change because 3-9 is not good enough. 3-9 is the worst record since the year before we won a national title. In 1975, we went 2-10. That's the worst we've done since then. That's just unacceptable. That's not what Pitt football is. It's not what Pitt football stands for. That's not our standard. And I think that even though these guys are just great individuals, they're great coaches, but great men and leaders, change is a part of college athletics, unfortunately. And where the game is at this point in terms of conference realignment, being competitive, staying at the top, making sure that you are part of the best about where you are. So while I understand the need for change, I thank those coaches because they were diehard Pitt guys. They were so loyal to the logo, man. Right there. That logo right there. Pitt. They were so loyal. So it is what it is. It sucks how it went down. It sucks how it's at really almost the end of the cycle. We're in the new year. But that's where these coaches are. It's just a tough schedule with recruiting, games, the transfer portal. It's only going to get worse because the NCAA, which is one of the worst organizations on God's green earth, has been absolutely horrendous. They need to pass legislation. Now we have, West Virginia, of course, West Virginia goes and runs a waiver to allow players to leave more than twice now without graduating. Graduation rates are going down. High school recruits, the amount of high school coaches that have reached out to me that told me there are high school players that are Division I athletes that are now going FCS or Division II because the transfer portal is killing it in terms of high school recruiting. The high school kids are being screwed over so bad because of the transfer portal and how many times guys leave. In this case, it's great. Hey, Pitt gets a great guy in Eli Holstein, who's a true freshman. It's just because the room is so backed up. And there were probably other circumstances there too. I love the guys that leave because you know what? They need a fresh start, or it's not what they thought it would be. But there are numerous guys throughout the portal that you see them leave 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Like JT Daniels, the guy was in college for 5 years, played for 5 different schools. I mean, holy hell. I didn't even know it was possible. That's a big concern. You don't want to see that. And it ruins college athletics. And I understand, NIL. I love how players can make money. I played in college. I truly wish I was able to make that kind of money. But at the same time, though, you need to go somewhere where you are truly wanted. You are truly valued. You're going to get good coaching. You're going to get a good academic education. You're going to get your degree, the piece of paper. The thing about football, baseball, soccer, basketball, doesn't matter. There comes a time when someone sets you down and says, hey, you don't have it anymore. You can't play no more. You're done. But that piece of paper that you get from the University of Pittsburgh, it leaves an everlasting legacy. It's a piece of paper that's worth something for 60-plus years of your life. Doesn't matter where you go, anywhere in the United States, across the world, it doesn't matter. That piece of paper means something. And I think a lot of these players are really forgetting that. And I feel bad for the coaches who have to work consistently just 7 days a week, 365 days a year. That's why I hate to say it. I don't mind them making the money that they make because they don't have time off. It's not a 9-to-5 job. It's a 5 to 9:30 at night job. And then recruiting cycles, the coaches that reached out to me, not just at Pitt, it's at Rutgers, Boston College, Kentucky, Alabama, Georgia, Syracuse, 15-hour days, 15, 16-hour days. Damn. They deserve to get that money. I'm sorry to tell people that. That's a long day. And you do it for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then weeks turn into months, then months turn into half a year, and turn into a full year. And all of a sudden, here we are back in December, you're signing a class, and then you get a month off, and you get a week off, and shit starts all over again. It's crazy. Let me see here. Thank you, everybody watching. Hit the like button, please. If you are watching this, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notifications, guys. The channel continues to grow at a rapid rate because of you guys. And beyond thankful for everything that you guys do, because the channel is nothing without you. That's why I love doing what I do. I'm not a part of the media. I'm just the guy, just like you guys are. Well, I guess, and we have women that watch too. There's a lot of women out there that know a lot more than some of these guys I talk to. I can tell you that. So, man, against the men and women who just watch this show, who subscribe, I'm beyond thankful for what you guys do. But please hit the like button. It helps the algorithm. And please subscribe to the channel. The need a guy to recruit DC and Virginia. Yeah, I know. We'll be able to see that. But there's guys on the current roster right now, and there's guys they're looking at to be able to do that too. Russ Bayer, you're stealing your books way longer in the field. Couldn't agree more, Russ. And that's why just when you look at the overall aspect of college athletics, players are getting paid now. And it's no longer the aspect of, it's just they're student athletes. It's almost like semi-pro at this point. But to get that piece of paper, and when you're in college, the look of some of these guys, that's why, I really like helping high school kids out, because you get to watch their faces and their families where, I wasn't loaded growing up. I can tell you that. When we were able to get a scholarship to go to college, we took it because it helped pay for our education. And you get that piece of paper, and it's life-changing, because it's not just you, it's the future generation that you create. And you're always looking, the parents, like guys like Russ, who are one of the great parents out there that just say, hey, I want my son or my daughter to be better. I want them to have a better life than I have. And once you continue to build upon that, you build generational wealth, and you build that by going to get educated and being more educated and continuing to learn, having an open mind, being able to be an independent thinker. And the University of Pittsburgh is such a great degree. And there's numerous of universities. And I think we're losing sight of that. And I think that when you look at the players overall right now, I want them to go somewhere where they're wanted. The relationships matter. The dollars and cents, you talk about the horror stories from Texas A&M where the guys are like, well, they're walking around millionaires. They didn't get paid. A lot of them didn't. Go somewhere where you have the value in the relationships, because the NIL money is small in stature compared to what you'll get in the National Football League. It's small in stature to what you'll get in terms of the education about where you go and where you want to go. The education aspect is so important. It's so important. And where you're wanted. You are in that facility how many hours a day as an athlete? Hours. The relationships matter. And when you build relationships at these universities, it's not a 4-year relationship. It's not a 5-year relationship. It's a 60-plus year relationship. The amount of players that go back to talk to the coaches that they have on this roster, or Dave Wanstead. Go talk to Dave Wanstead and go listen to how many guys he still talks to this day. Hundreds. They love him. I remember when I was in high school, Mount Lebanon, in football, Dave Wanstead would come to our team and talk to our team for free and talked about the reason for relationships. I think that a lot of people don't understand just how good the relationships are. And I really think that when you look at them from a perspective of, you go to a place that you're wanted, you go to a place that you're loved, you go to a place where you get a great education, you go to a place where you're going to play, and you go to a place where you can develop and be a great individual and make money on the side, and then get to the National Football League. I think that's where a lot of these players lose sight of where they're going, because it's all about NIL. It's all about the money. There's a player that left Pitt that called a coach and said, well, we all know it's about money. And he gave this facade about how, I didn't get enough playing time, and I was disrespected because I didn't get enough playing time. It's not about that. And then at the end of the conversation, he goes, we all know it's about the money. That's why he left. It's about the money. But that player is going to a school now. It's about the money. But we'll see how much he plays. We'll see how much he's getting coached. There's a lot of questions around that. I just want these players to consistently know, go to a place you're wanted. Love it where you are. Continue to get the education that you need. Build the relationships for a lifetime. A lifetime of relationships means something. It's not just it's not transactional. Build a relationship for a long period of time. Go make some money. Go be the best you can be, and then go to the National Football League. Trust me, you'll thank me. Dugger boys, 79D, seem really adamant Dugger won't get a shot. They're all learning a new offense. Yeah, they're all learning a new offense. I just think that would be really unfair for a guy like to be honest with you, a guy like Dugger, who I think is going to be really good in this Cade Bell offense. I think because if you talk to anybody, Julian Dugger is like the perfect aspect of a player who is just going to be so good in this offense because, one, Julian is a guy who's big, athletic, fast, strong arm. The amount, just for how good he's gotten from last year to this year is just ridiculous. I mean, it's absolutely insane. I just think that it would be unfair for him to throw him in there as a true freshman. I could see him competing as like a redshirt freshman after a year in the new system. But I think that putting him in there as a true freshman and playing trial by fire wouldn't be fair to him. I think that you let him learn for a full year, and then he's going to really compete. Because I think Julian, who Carlos Zovko said it best, is a hell of an athlete, a hell of a player, and a guy who's just consistently defies odds and continually gets better. I think personally, if he was actually right-handed, not left-handed, he probably has numerous Power 5 offers. Just everybody gets scared about recruiting a left-handed quarterback. No idea. I understand you turn things around in practice and how you coach things, but Julian is going to be, and I've been ridiculed for this, he's going to be a great player at Pitt. He's going to play a lot because his athletic ability, his strong arm, and for his age to be built like an absolute truck is just ridiculous. So I might be skeptic of him competing this year because I think they want him to learn the offense and then come in as a redshirt freshman and then compete because the talent level coming in is so good that I'm very confident about that I think Julian Dugger should be one of those quarterbacks that's going to be here for another ACC championship and potentially a playoff spot. Don't shoot the messenger. Just putting it out there. But to your point, I think he comes in and learns as a true freshman. I really do. Unless he comes in and they say, look, he's our truly our best option, which he could be. I just think they want to give him a fair shot, let him learn for years, a true freshman, and then as a redshirt freshman come in and truly take that next step and learn, and then take Pitt to new heights. Just my personal opinion. That's why I'm so happy. I hate to say this. I'm happy that, he wasn't truly recruited at a high level because I think Pitt may have missed on him. I just think he's that good of a player. Just the physical attributes, his athletic ability. I just love it. That's why, me personally, just let him learn for a year because I think he can be that good. Don't rush greatness sometimes. Do not rush greatness. He can be really good. Just saying. Let's see here. Again, appreciate all the comments, guys. It's been incredible. Actually, let me go through this again. Again, it plugs in a little bit. Again, guys, if you were not here for it, the sponsor of the show, Colonial Beer, located at 4986 Library Road in Bethel Park, PA, 15102. Guys, again, you've seen me tweet it out. The numerous selections that they have over in Bethel Park, a massive place where you're going to get IPAs, light beers, if you go in there for anything like that. But more importantly, the Fake Slide Pilsner is there, which helps support Alliance 412, which is a preferred collective of the University of Pittsburgh. And as we've seen here in this past cycle, whether it's transfers, whether it's a current class, Alliance 412 is important. And the more people that get involved with it and subscribe to the $19.76 a month or more, me, I'm at the 41. I think it's 412. Yeah, 41.26. I think it's 41 or 41.20. $41.20 a month. 412, the 412 level. I started at the 1976. That's just where I wanted to start at, and then I bumped it up recently here at the end of December. But the more people that subscribe to Alliance 412, the better, because it's only going to help support the athletes at the University of Pittsburgh, and it keeps us competitive. And the more we stay competitive, the more we stay in it, the more we stay in conference realignment. Anything can happen. But the more you support Alliance 412, the more opportunities we have to continually get great players and be competitive in college football. Just how it is. And just being completely honest with people. The trenches are what is going to get Pat fired at the end of the year. As an outsider looking in, there's not enough talent on the O-line. Yes, Steven, I don't agree with that at all, to be quite honest with you. Brandon Taylor has done a hell of a job, especially in the middle of the year to the end of the year. Then you have Ryan Bayer on the other side at right tackle. Then at Terrence Moore, you got Ryan Jacoby coming back off an injury. He had an ACL, didn't play at all last year. He's come back to play left guard. You still got Terrence Moore in the middle. You got B.J. Williams, who started as a true freshman. The amount of reps that he was able to get, I mean, these guys are pretty damn good. On top of that, they got a transfer. The first of probably, it's going to be two transfers. There's just one so far. NC State offensive lineman Lyndon Cooper, who has done a hell of a job at NC State. He just got more money here at Pitt. That's why he left. He's now at Pitt. You still got Terrence Enos. You've got other guys, especially two of the younger guys who just come in, on top of another transfer coming in here. I don't agree with that at all. I think they have a lot of talent at the offensive line position. We were just young this year. You had Matt Gonsalves get hurt early on in the year, and then he's out the rest of the year. Ryan Jacoby got hurt. He was out the rest of the year. You had B.J. Williams hurt at times. He was out at certain portions of the year. You had Jake Cradle that was out at certain portions of the year. I don't buy that we don't have enough talent on the offensive line. If anything, I think it's gotten better. And this year might have sucked, but we needed those guys to get. We needed those young guys to get the snap that they got. Had to. Or it was gonna happen this year. So I'd rather have it happen last year. Plus the transfer we got now, Lyndon Cooper from NC State, and then one more transfer, which is going to happen. So I'm not concerned at all about it, to be quite honest with you. I think it's actually getting better, to be quite frank. On top of Caleb Holmes from Georgia, who's actually from the same high school as B.J. Williams. Caleb Holmes is going to be coming in. He's a 4-star offensive lineman coming in. He's going to be able to try to compete for a starting position. Do I think he starts? Probably not. But he's going to be a guy that's probably going to be on the 2D. He's that good. He's that physical. Him and B.J. Williams just come from just a different level of football in Georgia. I just think it's really, really good. I think they're going to be really good players. Obviously, two of the defensive tackle position. One guy I forgot, Ty Uhas. He can play inside or outside. We'll continue to see and develop that where he plays at. But Pittsburgh Central Catholic guy, 6'8" football. Ryan Lahmeyer is a good friend of mine. Tremendous football coach. First year as a head football coach at Central Catholic. Goes to the Whitfield Championship game. Loses to North Allegheny, but he'll be back again. He'll win a Whitfield title and he'll win a state title because those guys there are absolute freaks. It's Central Catholic. Just telling you. All right, guys, any more questions? We are at the hour mark. But, guys, again, I want to thank you. We went over a lot of topics. Players that are here, coaches that left, players coming in, everything. I just want to thank you guys for watching the show. We've had over 100 people overall watch this show tonight. Guys, the show is nothing without you guys. And that's putting it lightly. The show is nothing without you. Again, I'm just an average guy. There's nothing special about me. The show is great because of you guys, because you guys watch the show. And I'm beyond thankful for everything that you guys do on a daily basis to support the show, support the Twitter. I'm on Twitter at JJ_Kitchen40. Beyond thankful for everything that you guys do and supporting my Twitter, my space here, and the players, especially between the people that are watching from the University of Florida, the amount of people from the University of Florida that have followed me and told me how much they support my channel, from the SEC, the Big Ten, the ACC, and the numerous Big 12 people that watch my show as well. Beyond thankful for everything that you guys do. Adam, here, last question. When will we hear more names on possible position coaches? Pretty soon. Pretty soon. Because if it's really true that, again, I was told tonight that the offensive line coach position is pretty much full. It's done. They got their guy. I would think that we're probably going to hear that next time too. You'll be hearing that name come out pretty soon, and I'll be putting that out more when I get the okay to put that stuff out. I'll put it out and let you guys know. When is the next broadcast? Well, guys, every single week we are going to do a Sunday conversation, no matter what. Sunday conversation. The amount of stuff that you guys have sent me through comments, everything else, Sunday conversation will be every single week, no matter what. Obviously, we had the holiday and stuff like that. I couldn't do it. But Sunday conversation every weekend at 7:15. We'll be doing this, so count on that as the next one. If you haven't, subscribe to the channel, so no matter when I do go live, you'll be able to know when I do. Subscribe to the channel down below. Hit the thumbnail that says it's like a bell, basically. If you put on the notifications, you'll know every time I drop a video or go live. I'm going to put videos out probably during the week when we get a commitment or anything else. Guys, I put a lot of stuff out between the Big Ten, between coaching searches, guys that get added. Obviously, I cover a lot of conference realignment with the ACC. Everything that happens with the ACC and Florida State, I'm honest about it. I'm not like the clickbait guys out there, just like the throw clickbait shit out there. I'm telling the truth. Florida State people don't like it. Not my problem. Telling you the truth. So I'm covering the ACC, conference realignment, Big Ten, SEC, everything. So make sure you guys subscribe, hit the notifications. I appreciate it. Mark, thank you so much for tuning in. Of course, as always, guys like you, Adam, Steven, Russ Bayer, who else is always in here? Byron Fleck, Will, Michael Jones. Mike Prosky. Again, appreciate all you guys. Ryan, appreciate you coming on. Hoglin coming on. John Gorman. Again, thankful for all you guys. I think it's going to conclude our show for tonight. We went over a lot, guys. And again, if you have not done so, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share this with your friends, share this with other Pitt fans. At the end of the video, there's a comment section. Leave comments. What do you think? What do you think we need? Here are the questions I want you to answer in the comment section. 1, what players do you think we need? 2, what position coaches do you think are going to get filled first? What position is going to get filled first? But 3, what did I get right and what did I get wrong? And what else do you want to see from the channel? I always love hearing that stuff from you guys. Again, guys, beyond thankful for what you guys do to support the channel. That's why, no matter what, always and forever, hail to Pitt. I'll see you guys next time.